San Francisco is a very special place to people like myself and others who have arrived here not knowing anything about the city, but fallen in love with the city almost overnight. Not only because of all of its natural kinds of attractive alternatives and attractive characteristics, but because of the incredible spirit that you almost encounter from day one with the people of this city. There is nothing more fascinating than going down one city block and literally walking through the portals of time, literally walking through the portals of the world. You'll hear 10, 12, 15, 20 different languages, in many languages in multiple accents. You will see some of everything you've ever read about or ever heard about, and you would also hear some of the most outrageous utterances. They almost conclude that everybody here is on medication of some sort and they've missed their meds, which makes it really interesting and fascinating. And even at 17 years of age, I had that perspective.
I think it can be a very good example for how how the world, or I should say the states, should be, in that San Francisco is accepting and they care for whomever comes here. We don't have a preconceived idea of who you are, whether you're from another country or you're from another state. As long as you're a friendly person and kind and gentle, then you'll fit right in here.
San Francisco is multifaceted. There are many different angles and sides to it. We have a huge mix of ethnic groups, of racial groups. You can get almost any kind of food you could possibly want. And we have a great amount of diversity that shows off the city to great advantage. There are just so many ways of looking at it. It's like a cut diamond that reflects light. It sparkles in the sunshine, and you can look at it from every angle, and from any angle you look at it, it bears deeper looking into.
I don't know how to explain it. It just makes you comfortable. No matter whether you're straight or gay, bisexual, transgendered, whoever you are, this is a city that welcomes you as you are.
I love San Francisco. Fabulous people, fabulous food, fabulous music. Fabulous is the word I have for San Francisco.
But when you come back home to San Francisco, you kind of bring those parts with you, and you kind of see some of the different areas of these other countries in this city. If you go to Hong Kong or China, you come back to San Francisco, and San Francisco actually has the largest Chinese population outside of Hong Kong and outside of China. That was really interesting to me. I never knew that, and I've lived here my whole life. If you go to Italy and you come back and you go to North Beach, and you have just these amazing restaurants, and you can just feel the love that the Italian people have for their area as this part of the city. Again, it's just all parts of, it seems like all parts of the world brought into one city. We have Russian Hill, and we have Hayes Valley, and the Mission, and just these great little areas that make up what San Francisco really is. And I will never regret moving here, ever.
And here you can see we have the flowers and the trees and the smells and the steps.
I love San Francisco. I picked San Francisco because I'm more of a bohemian, very liberal person. And so I was kind of looking for like the perfect place for my personality. I lived in a few other places like Phoenix, Arizona. I lived in New York, which is also very bohemian and liberal. But I was kind of looking for a place that had the perfect blend of beautiful weather, nice scenery, comfortable neighborhoods, but still yet had that bohemian liberal feel. And like I said, I found San Francisco and fell in love with it. I remember exactly when I fell in love with it. I had made a trip up from Santa Barbara, where I used to live, and I was sitting in Washington Square Park, and I looked up at the hills, and I looked at the people and the restaurants, and I said, yep, this is it.
San Francisco is a particularly good place for us to be based because although we do all our work virtually, San Francisco is kind of like our unofficial home. It represents the diversity that we want to bring to the rest of the world. Not to change other people's cultures, but to bring a diversity of understanding. So San Francisco, it's a place where just about anything you want to try, anything you want to be, anyone you want to be, it's a place where you can feel comfortable doing that.
It would be diverse, not just in ethnicity, but just in mentality.
I think there are a few other cities in the world where it always seems like something is going on, but here there's this particular flavor of there's almost like a need for expression. So I think the reason so many events happen is there are so many people here who care. They care about preserving their culture. They care about demonstrating why diversity is a good thing. There are lots of causes here that people care for. I think San Francisco, other than New York, in the United States, San Francisco has the highest number of nonprofit organizations I don't know if it's per capita, but I've heard that there's some statistic where we rank really high in terms of nonprofit organizations, and what that says to me is that a lot of people here really care about making a mark in the world, making things better for other people, and the number of events generally has to do with the number of causes that are being supported and the number of cultures that are being expressed and preserved, and just people here really like to celebrate life. So they do it a lot, like every other day.
The diversity aspect of San Francisco kind of ties all the people together that way and makes us stronger. I love, just the energy of the city. It's just amazing people. And I guess the thing that I love most about the city, there's so many villages. Each neighborhood is like a little village, and each one has its own character and personality, and you can kind of walk seamlessly in between each village, and you'll get a completely new experience. You can be a chameleon, and take on the role of whatever village and whatever area you're in, and you just have a lot of potential to, be someone new and meet new people and be exposed to new ideas, and it just makes every day fascinating and interesting.
It's a very vibrant city, and it seems like right now there's a lot of places to play, a lot of places to practice. It's a very good scene for local musicians. I think if there's one thing about San Francisco, it's a very song-based. The music that comes out is very melodic, and it's a song-based kind of scene, whereas maybe in LA it's a little more rock, for instance.
Punk rock. I know that term is sort of supposedly dead, and I don't think that San Francisco even realizes it, because we have so much money in some areas and then no money in the other areas. But it seems like anything goes here, and you can go from extremely pretentious hipster art in some apartments' windows in the Mission to some truly inspired spray paint that's up on the wall. Some cultural murals when you're walking around in the Mission. All of this stuff you shouldn't be dismissing. You shouldn't take it lightly. Try living in Salt Lake City for a while, and you'll really understand how uninspiring a city can be. And I know I'm going to get in trouble from people from Salt Lake for that.
Kinetic would be the word that I would choose for San Francisco. The city itself is really small if you think about it as a metropolis. It's only 7 miles by 7 miles, but there is so much that's happening in really quick, energetic bursts all over the city. And every little neighborhood has, like this mechanism that drives it and this charge that everyone carries around with them. So I feel like kinetic might be the word I would choose for San Francisco.
Well, I've lived in almost every neighborhood in San Francisco, and each one has its own personality for the right time and right place. So, you know, for me, I'm a foodie too, and so I love to kind of follow whatever craving I'm having. You know, so if I'm feeling, you know, like having Thai, I'll go the tenderloin. If I'm feeling like having a really good burrito, I'll go the Mission. You know, if I want to hang out with really eccentric people, I'll go to Haight Street and, you know, talk to, you know, some people in the bars. And, you know, just depending on what mood, you know, kind of, you can kind of live a healthy ADD lifestyle of whatever craving you want, whatever person you want to be, whatever place you want to be, you can walk there in a short amount of time and be that person. And it's great to, you know, have each neighborhood when you want it at such an easy disposal. When you live in a neighborhood, it's very easy to get isolated into that neighborhood. So, you know, and to truly get the pulse of a neighborhood, I feel you have to live there, you know, to meet the people, to, you know, everyday lifestyle. And so when you live in the neighborhood, you're part of it. And you know, you can walk through it and you can get a taste, but to truly understand, you know, a neighborhood, you have to live it.
It's a lot of fun. It's a really fun city. Everybody has some niche that they can find that they fit into, no matter what they're into.
Invigorating is kind of the word I said, and that sounds a little bit like I just took a really nice shower, you know, and I had really nice soap, my hair feels good, but that's kind of how you feel, because most of the time the weather is beautiful, and I think one of the key things I've found about living here is the weather is awesome.
Well, we believe that this is probably the best place in the world to sail. It has a tradition, it has the right people, it has a changing of the weather conditions, which makes this exciting. You can never predict. Even last night or this morning, things are completely different, and right now it's starting to change again. The cold front is starting to come down, and so this is special to develop people sailing challenge, and we're very happy to be able to solve the challenging effects of the wind. On last Thursday we were, close to have an accident in Alcatraz because of how the foggy conditions were. But instead of that, it's a privilege to be able to be sailing in this regatta with such a wonderful crew. Most of them, we have ladies on board, our wives and family are participating here, some of the younger sailors who are also doing a great job, and it's very much an amateur team getting into be able to compete against the best sailors in the world.
San Francisco is an excellent place. The Bay Area in particular, we have a lot of choices of different wind conditions and different water conditions. You have the coast, you have flat water, you have the bay, you have the delta, which is a river system. So lots of choices. The wind blows consistently almost all year round, with the best months I'd say being from around April all the way through October.
If I had to pick one word to describe San Francisco, I would say it's accepting. There are certainly issues that we have here, and there are some big political, economic, socioeconomic differences. But by and large, you can do and be what you want in this town, and it's not an issue. You can be pretty normal looking like me, or you can have green hair and a mohawk, and it doesn't draw unusual attention except from the tourists. And that's one of the things I like, because I like meeting all sorts of crazy people, and you can find them here. Where I come from, originally Michigan, is very homogeneous and kind of bland that way, and it's one of the things I wanted to get away from. So that's one of the things I really appreciate about San Francisco, is its acceptance and its diversity.
I would call this place a melting pot. It's just a big hodgepodge of people, culture, diversity, and ethnicities.
San Francisco, uninhibited, wonderfully uninhibited. Freewheeling, people are willing to try anything, sometimes deleterious, right? But anyway, that was the thing that attracted me here. It was really in the air. I came here in the end of the hippie era, right? And it's with New York, the most left-wing state in the country overall. The South is a bit bad, but anyway. and it's a very creative place. It's not a huge city, so it has its limits, but it has this long tradition of being uninhibited, of being freewheeling, of willing to try anything. And I think that spirit is represented, for example, in Silicon Valley, the tremendous creativity down there. It's a leak from the spirit of San Francisco. I felt coming here from the East Coast, where there was a rather rigid social culture. I just felt unleashed when I got out here in 1968, as did a lot of other people. I mean, this city is probably 80% immigrants of the last generation or two.
Growing up, I had no choice. I had to be Chinese. Today, I'm American.
I had a cousin who had come to San Francisco in the 30s for the World Fair. And when she came back to Texas, according to my parents, she said this was the place to be. In fact, I remember my sisters telling me stories about, oh God, we've gone to heaven. It's so beautiful here. And it's really true. It really is beautiful in San Francisco.
I went to school in Midwest, and then later on I worked in the South. And whenever I would go to somebody and say, my name is Siamak Sioshansi, it would be about 20-minute conversation, what that name is, where does it come from, how do you say it, so on and so forth. When I moved to San Francisco, my biggest disappointment was I would go to somebody and say, my name is Siamak Sioshansi, and they were like, okay, what do you want? And I was like, can we have the conversation about the name and where it comes from? So it's really diversity.
To me, one word that really comes to mind about San Francisco is tolerant. It's a very tolerant city, a tolerant community. It helps to have this wonderful climate, which helps, I think, it's not sort of suffered by the brutality of winter or hot summers. But it's such a mixture of people here on the coast, and everyone is, I think, incredibly tolerant of each other, and therefore it's very life-giving, life-fulfilling because of that. There's a sense that you can really experience any kind of community here, and it's okay for that community to live with another. So I would use the word tolerance to describe the Bay Area.
At that time when they moved to San Francisco, there were just tons of jazz clubs, a lot of Black-owned businesses. It was considered the Harlem of the West. And if you wanted to work, you came to San Francisco. If you wanted to feel a sense of freedom, you came to San Francisco because it was the place to be for music, for culture, for great food, for education, for all of those things. And that's because we do everything differently here. I mean, a lot of movements, the free speech movement started here back in the 60s in the East Bay. The Black Panther Party started in the East Bay. Oh, the slow food movement with Alice Waters is here.
Accepting. San Francisco embraces and accepts so much diversity. It is, everybody talks about its physical beauty, and that's all true, but I think so much of the beauty of San Francisco is in its acceptance of different lifestyles and different cultures, and it embraces them, and really, in more than any other city I've ever lived in, it is a really accepting city.
My most recent projects are with Glide Church, and I think that was one of my favorite because it directly serves people. It directly impacts people who are somewhat on the fringe. And that's another thing that I like about San Francisco is that we really care about people. I don't care how different you are or diverse you are, it's all about people because it has that human, the care for humans is just extraordinary. How we treat others is, I mean, I live in a neighborhood where I can walk down the street and have coffee with anyone on any economic, social, or economic level, and it's all the same thing. It's no different. It's just the way we do things here. It's also important too that personally that I live in a place where I can speak my mind. I can talk about things that are both important to me, but also important to the larger community. And living in a place where I can truly speak my mind and not be afraid. I mean, there's no place like it.
I don't think we're representative of most of the US, but there are little pockets here and there throughout the country that are very similar, and we are probably at the forefront of the liberal mindset, but I think that's a good thing.